today. Really bad news for me, that is, no one else. I've just spoken to Dennis and he made a suggestion that I so don't agree with. But then Dennis has probably done this job for 30 years, which I'm doing for the first time. Painted more cars than I've had hot breakfasts in America, and that's some doing. But he made a suggestion that I tackle this truck because of the original paint that's on it, the original blue, and then the red that's come over the top of that. And there's actually two different reds on here, I've noticed, on the back of the roof. He suggested that I go bare metal, both things like the dash, the roof, all of these horizontal flat surfaces, so that I don't end up with reactions between the original paint, the next layer of paint, or any further paint. There's obviously a lot to be said for various types of primers and coats in between. I don't know enough. At this point today, because my heart is hurting because I know I'm going to have so much more work to do, you know what? I'm going to be doing it. I have no choice in my head. I have to do this, finish the build to the highest standard that I can get it to, because that just means that I'll be happier with the truck. But right now, one of the things I'm going to do is take out the air vents, take out all of the wiper motor and all that mechanism, clean it up, because it's been painted over before as well. Clean it up, grease it all up, make sure it's going to work properly, so that when I reassemble everything, that's another part that I don't have to worry about. So that's going to be today's little sidetrack job. It's already about 2:30, quarter to 3 on a Saturday afternoon. I've been busy today doing various jobs. I want to say jobs, some of it is psychological jobs. Spoke to a friend for an hour and a half. We needed to talk. Then I spoke to another friend in South Africa. One was in America, one was in South Africa, for a half an hour. I was on the phone to Dennis twice already this morning because we're good mates and he's always got a lot of sage advice. So now I've got to get the cab out forward, turn it around so I can see what I'm doing in the light. I'm not going outside because in American it's about 40 degrees Fahrenheit outside and there's a breeze. The temperature inside here today is, there you go, it is it's 38 degrees Fahrenheit indoors, which is about 3 or 4 degrees Celsius, so it's still cold, and they suggested that it was going to get colder. So yeah, that's today's job, is turn this thing around, take some bits and pieces apart. This time of the day, do I really feel like starting sanding and getting dirty and dusty for an hour or two? I'm probably going to skip the rest of the day on that. I'll find some other jobs to do, but right now, flip the cab around, get some light onto the front end so I can see what I'm doing. It's as easy as that, I'd say. There you go. Something like that. Get the light straight down. I'll get my working light as well. So let's start with the elephant in the room. Two different screws, or one little bolt and a screw of some sort with a thread. So these are the wiper mechanisms. Motor sits at the back there, behind that section, and then another one on this side. So this is the suggestion that we remove all of this and clean it up, and then obviously these little plastic vents need to come out so that I can get the dash cleaned up and bare metaled, because I've been told to do so by the man who knows stuff. So yeah, that's today's little job, just to make me feel a bit better about all the work that's going to have to come still. And I'll give you an insight or a look while I'm doing it. Boring as hell, but somebody's got to do it. Right, let's Let's start with this painful job. Get these guys out and then figure out where this goes, how to get access to it. Probably a flat in there. Problem with Imperial spanners and guys like me is that I'm metric. So everything I do is a pain in the bum because I've got to figure out an Imperial size by clicking on and trying 4 or 5 different spanners to get them onto wherever I'm working at. So that. That's a good start, I guess. I shouldn't speak too soon. These guys are so rusted. So that side's out. Okay. That's part one. I'll put these in my pouch and hopefully I'll remember to take them out later on. I'd originally intended to just mask these. I think you can get away with masking them, but of course, as Dennis said, service and maintenance never gets done on these motors. So after 59 years, it probably doesn't want to work, or it'll be really lazy when you put the wipers on. So that's part one. These are out. Now the easy way would probably be to find something that fits on the wheel. No idea what it is, stand by. Let's see how quickly we can find something. I brought that because there's a little circlip fitting. I have these. They make life a little bit easier. It's just a matter of finding the right size. We've got 3/8. That doesn't fit, so we're going to go to the next size, which is a 1/2 inch. No, 7/16. What the hell? Why don't people just work in millimeters? It's just so much easier. That doesn't work, so we're going to now go up to 1/2 inch. This can't be 1/2 inch. No, it can't, because that's way too loose and big. Let's go back and see if this fits. It does fit. So the other side should fit. Let's wiggle it on. There we go. All right. Problem is everything is dirty and full of paint. Previous jobs. There's one out. Do I write on here what side it is? So we'll put on passenger on here. So that's the passenger side marked up. Right, so that's the circlip that we need to get off. And stupidly, put this back on. The term cack-handed springs to mind constantly when I'm working. Because I do not intuitively pick up the right spanner like some people do. See, everything takes time. A lot more than it would take a pro mechanic. Be off and through this stuff much quicker. Let's see if the modified hammer works. So why is this a struggle? Come on, clever guys, tell me. Because I don't like skinning my knuckles by force, slipping spanners and stuff. Let's see if I can shock this thing loose, because it's certainly not coming loose by normal manners. Or do I do WD-40? Don't understand. Right. Let's try this differently, because I might have just been stupid. Take this off, wiggle, and it actually comes off. There you go. Not as difficult as I thought it was, but not as clever as I am. This really pisses me off when I'm stupid like that. And I'm sure every one of you guys watching would have done this the right way. This is me. Too scared of using force for a start. This is the driver's side. Right, so that's one thing off. These need cleaning up. They're a bit messy. So we'll get to them. I may as well take these little sprayer jets off as well while I'm at it, because that way I can paint everywhere, and they are both buggered. They will need new pipes. As you can see, the hoses are rotten, rock hard. Well, there you go, rock hard. So we'll find replacements for that. And obviously run it through to the pump for the wipers. Put that back there for now. Put that one back. These can go in here, and those little screws that I took out earlier on, for now, they will go back in the arms. How much of a fucking pain is that? Right. Wiper motor and pump assembly out. Thank goodness. Let's put some tools away. How long does that take me? All of 20 minutes. 22 minutes if you really want. Right, next job. Clean those up. And just like that, it's Sunday morning. Turn the light on. Oh, shit. See me fall on my head and end up in emergency room. Last night or yesterday afternoon, I ended up closing shop, I don't know, 4 o'clock or something like that. Didn't do a lot. A bit frustrated. And I'm sure nobody else gets frustrated when they're fixing stuff. But there you go. So I walked away at that point because I'd sort of done the stuff, spent an hour of which 20 minutes was trying to figure out which nuts and bolts I had, figuring out Imperial versus metric. Why doesn't the world go to metric? Oh yes, because there's a gazillion old cars that are still built in Imperial, so we'll stick to both sizes and all the variances of that. So today the first thing I'm going to do, it's still bloody cold outside, but the first thing I'm going to do inside the garage, which is actually colder than being outside, is to start with this. Some of you will know what it is, some of you won't, some of you will care, some of you don't. As well as these little guys, I'm actually going to just clean up the joints, the little hinges, make sure everything is clean, moves properly. And then once I'm done, I'm actually going to reassemble it, and I'll mask these bits that stick out so that they don't end up getting covered in paint or tightened up because of that. The suggestion from Dennis was to clean up this, and if you look, there's a lot of dirt and gunk in here. It might just be a 5-minute job, I don't know. It might not take that long, but I think, I'm not sure why I've got this down here. I think I know why. It's always nice working on a soft surface rather than on an old tabletop that I've got here as part of the workbench. Probably just use some petrol in a bucket or a tray, clean this with a brush and petrol, and that's it. It may be all I need. I might even test it. I've got a little 12-volt battery here. That's always my standby battery for things running out of charge, and I run it off an Optimate on the side here. That's kind of just a little independent power source. I'm not sure if I'm going to blow anything up if I put some power on there. But you have the wiper washer motor there, and then obviously the wiper motor which actuates left to right. And hopefully the petrol won't affect it too badly. This rubber and the little bush is a bit buggered. Actually, it's just disassembled itself. So that shouldn't be too much of a thing. Clean it up, put it back in. But I'm not interfering. This bit of junk will come off. But it's I'm assuming it's electrical earthing strapping from somewhere, or it's building strapping, probably from somewhere in the US. If you recognize it, make a comment, tell me. Right, so cleanup plan. I have many tools. You can see this one actually has duct tape to keep it working. Maybe this is pushing it with putting petrol in there. You'll end up with the petrol just pouring out the bottom, so I might not use that. Let me see if I can find another one, and then we'll start. Aha! Easy. What's that saying? Thank God for small mercies. Ugh. Found another one. This is another petrol bowl. Obviously used for washing bigger stuff, and that doesn't seem to have any holes in, so I'll put the other one away. I suspect this is my ex-wife's stuff. She used to buy these and put them in the kitchen sink. Another thing people do that I don't understand. Why do you put a bowl inside of a kitchen sink when actually kitchen sink's there, you just put water in it and you can wash up? But there's a lot of stuff in life I don't understand. Some I don't pretend to understand, some I just don't care. So we'll get rid of this one. Put this one here. First job is get one of my pants of old underpants, because this is the one I use to clean up the back of the truck. Just get all this shit out. Been a while since I used this, probably 10 years ago, or something like that. We'll pick up the dust later with the vacuum cleaner. My shop vac that I have is an old Philips residential vacuum cleaner, and that came to me when I bought my first house when I moved to England in about 2004 or 5, I can't remember exactly. The guy that had the house before me had left it behind, along with some furniture, kitchen utensils, just random stuff that he didn't want, that was junk for him. But as I'd come here with a suitcase of clothes and a motorcycle, I didn't have any household stuff. I'd gotten rid of everything, thrown it away, given it away, sold some stuff before I moved from Africa over here. Yeah, so I'm still a gatherer and a purveyor of junk, and if people needed more than me, I'm always happy to pass it on and give it away. But yes, get some petrol and start washing these parts, cleaning them up, and then hopefully we'll grease up some stuff and leave it, reassemble and walk away. So people with big wallets and maybe not necessarily all the understanding and insight will often ask, why are restorations, modifications, builds, etc. so expensive? Here's a good example. This is a bit of extra time now, but it takes time. It was obviously some kind of a gasket here. It's rock hard. I'm assuming it was something that was fitted around the housing of the wiper motor. But of course, when I disassembled this, being rock hard, half of it stayed behind on the truck and 3/4 went on to the actual motor. Now I've got to remove this shit. I've also got to find some material, and I think I know what I've got. I've got some rubber, and I've got to cut 2 pieces because what I've got is too thin as a single section to replace this. Make a new rubber, I don't know if you want to call it a grommet, but because it's more like a washer that'll sit in the back here. So the first job will be to try and get this off. Hopefully not too much of a job. Old chisel. Old chisels work quite well. Oh, how lucky can you get? Now that was a bit of luck. Let's hope it stays like that. Just try and scrape this extra stuff out here. But this is kind of why stuff takes a bit of time sometimes. You know, somebody says to you, so how long did it take you to do the wiper motor? Half a day. What? But it's like three little screws. But that's not what it's about. All the other stuff that goes with it. Because now I've got to figure out how to get this shit off. And sometimes you take stuff off that you shouldn't have taken off. That's the other side of the same coin. So I'm taking this stuff off in the hope that it is appropriate to take it off. Let's see. Just from this side. And of course you can't always see what you're doing. You're doing it a bit blind because there's stuff in the way. That's better. That's it. Now that was a bit of luck getting that off in one. But yeah, these are the things that come along and challenge builds, restorations, etc. Is these little jobs that take time and then suddenly escalate. I think there's a saying, something along the lines of, you one broken bolt away from turning a 10-minute job into a 2-day ordeal. So this wasn't that difficult. Let's see if I can make up a rubber grommet now, or a big washer for that to mount on. ×2 because I need the thickness. The rubber that I've got is literally the thickness of that piece that's sticking out. It's been punched out inward, so it forces or faces inward, so you've got to go over that. And I'm assuming it's either for, there's definitely going to be a waterproofing element, but also for vibration reduction. So I'll put 2 of those in between the motor and the body and see what happens. Right, so we're back on the desk. I think I'm done with the fuel for a moment. I need to put that into a bottle or something for later use. I've been under the dash, done some measurements. Next thing I need to do is make that gasket that fits over here. But first get rid of all this junk, because it's kind of shite working on a dirty worktop, dirty work surface. So to get rid of most of this stuff. I prefer to get rid of everything, but we'll try. We'll try and get rid of most of it. Just makes life a bit easier for my mind and my head. I like blowing shit away from not working. Alright, so these go in the bin. Thickness wise, I actually had originally planned on using this hard type rubber. I thought it was softer. I also used to have what comes out of our recycling bags that go on the sidewalk on a Friday. Slightly thicker rubber that there was a piece in the bottom of the bag that was the ballast to keep it weighed down for when the wind comes up and the bag's empty. But I've realized that this padding, this last bit that I've got, that came from somewhere, and I'm pretty sure it was out of this truck when I took it apart many years ago. You can see there's seam sealer, so somebody had stuck seam sealer on wherever they'd worked and put that on as sound deadening. Now this is more like a yoga mat, but it doesn't matter. What's more important is I've taken a measurement, which is that width of the total size of that gasket. So we'll measure it. Let's see. Guaranteed it's Imperial. Why couldn't it be metric? So 2.5 inches, actually it's a bit more than 2.5 inches. Let's see what it's in millimeters. 65 millimeters. All right, I'll work in millimeters. 65 millimeters. So you then divide it by 2. because you want half the size to draw a circle. These calipers came from somewhere a long time ago, but plan B, which should really be plan A, is to find a tin or a bottle cap or something that's about the same size, and then it's so much easier just to draw around it and cut it out with a pair of scissors. Now, I save all my coffee pot lids because they're gold and I like gold, and they make great center caps for alloy wheels when you don't have anything. A bit of paint is a quick bodge, quick fix. Doesn't fix anything, but it sort of looks better. Right, I do not see anything immediately apparent. Yeah. Still not right. What about the back? Oh yeah, the back's good. So what I'll do is I'll put that on there, get my Sharpie, and draw a line, because this is thicker. This is actually the right thickness, by the way, so I don't need to double up on that other stuff. Grab my Sharpie, draw a square circle around it, like such. So that's the first thing. Just trace the bottom of this little Frebentos meat pie pot. Once again, these are really useful. They're thick plastic, but they're really useful for when you're cleaning your brushes, paint and stuff. You put some thinners in there or whatever, if it doesn't eat up the plastic, and you get on with it. So that we're done with. We can put that aside, put this aside. We're not using the file anymore. Put all the shit away, put that away, cut this out for a start. I'm actually going to go on the outside of this line because it can be quite a bit bigger than what you can see. And then we'll find the center and punch a hole through the center and thread it over the top of that arm. This could be square, by the way. It could be really any shape. It doesn't really matter. But I'll go around because the OCD kicks in at some point. And as it is, this one isn't satisfying my needs for having things the right shape and having them closer to the kind of original, but that's good enough, I'd say. Then just find the center. There's various ways. I think that's as simple as it needs to be, and I'm going to just do a rough cut through the center there. We have the washer. So now you thread this over there, stretches, pull it over, pull it over. Fit. We can reassemble, and that will be good enough to waterproof and soundproof from vibration this motor. This is bolted down in 3 places onto another plate that's actually spot welded onto the front of the firewall as well. So that's done. I can't see anywhere to grease anything in here, but I'll probably drop a couple of drops of just engine oil in there to make sure that this is, it sounds very clean and smooth. It doesn't sound gritty or anything unusual or bad, so maybe I don't even need to do that. I'll see. This is reset itself, so that's back together. Yeah, next shot will be reassembling this. Put the tools away, and I still need to just tidy those up. I'm going to put a bit of spray paint over the tips just so they look better. It's not going to make any difference to their performance, but they will look better once it's reassembled and refitted. They are red already, but they'll get a bit more paint when the paint goes down. But I always think tidying up stuff just doesn't make it work better. That makes me feel better. Right, we don't need a wire brush. Socket we need. This little spanner we only needed. It's the kind of thing that most people would have thrown away. I can't throw stuff like this away, and I've just used it to undo this stupid strap that was on here. Sharpie can go back where it came from. There you go. Pack the tools away quickly and then we're done with that. I'm going to try and get this thing fitted back in here again. Let's see if I can do it without any swearing. It always makes for interesting work. Kind of balancing frustration and success with each other. First thing we'll do is we'll move this up this way. Can't remember how it came out. Hopefully most of all that's. Let's try this by hand first.
Often easier than using a ratchet or something. Right. Last bit. Ow. Oh shit. Let's see if we can do it a little differently. Trace this some more. There you go. The other one as well, by a minute. Well, I'll cut this safe, it'll be fun. So this one, to be honest. Right, let's see.
Okay, that's in place. This is nice and tight. This one. Okay, job done. Let's see on the outside what it looks like. Feels really good and tight. Next job, put the arms back in.